Keggy says, I care more about Tyson versus Paul than I do Eubank versus Ben. You should have a chat with Nat because she don't care about either of them. MB says, fight Michael McKinson. He won't. I feel some sympathy there, though, to be fair, because Michael McKinson has wanted to fight Conor Benn and he gets asked about him all the time, so it's not his fault. But he's been willing to fight Conor Benn for some time, and I always thought it'd be a really good test for Conor Benn. The issue now is that because McKinson lost his last fight against the odds, and that's where I have the sympathy for him, Conor Benn now has a ready-made excuse or an extra one, when he maybe even didn't need one, to not fight Michael McKinson. Because say, well, he's coming off a loss. He hasn't got the same rankings as he had before. It doesn't do anything for me. How not to play says, put him in with Jake Paul. Let them have a PED match. So that's not saying you get in WWE. Not I'm suggesting anyone in WWE is on PEDs. I'm just saying that kind of terminology. Craig Lee Monkman says, the McKinson fight is a good domestic fight. Yeah, I agree. But then it's the same thing. He won't fight Harry Scarf either for largely the same reason. Harry Scarf was riding high with the British title, and then he lost to Karen, who lost to Boots Ennis for the second time at the weekend. I'm not going to have a crack at his surname, as Eamon bravely did twice. Stephen says, was Conor Benn serving a silent ban in the last 24 months? Eddie Hearn insists he was not, and we have no evidence to suggest he was, apart from the fact that he hasn't fought. BJ says, Benn versus Barrios is the most interesting for me. Barrios is highly underrated. Yeah, I mean, that's the fight I'm most looking forward to on the Paul versus Tyson card. Craig Lee Monkman says, can you serve a silent ban, though? Again, we don't know. We have no evidence to suggest that's the case. DB Cooper 1 says, whole Conor Benn thing is a disgrace. See, DB Cooper 1's put a long chat in now because he missed the episode devoted to this situation last week. Credit to UCAD BBBFC for not backing down against Benn's £1 million lawyers, PR team and big promoter. It's key that BBBFC fight this to maintain credibility. Yeah, I agree that they should fight it if they've got a case to do so. But if he's not fought under British jurisdiction for 2 years anyway, is there a point where you say, well, look, he's kind of served the punishment morally, if not, factually? I don't know. And also, how long can they afford to keep this fight up? It's not about, showing backbone as much as it is having reserves of cash to keep fighting as well. Stephen says, you can serve a silent ban. Hold on. I've gone past it now. Put an NDA on the BBBFC and you can serve a silent ban. Again, no evidence to suggest this has happened. The Keggy says, if Conor Benn fought during his suspension, he should have had an extra 2 years added to his suspension. Yeah, but it depends where the jurisdiction is on that suspension. If other bodies don't fall in line with what the UCAD and BBFC have mandated, it's not really right to blame Conor Benn specifically for that, is it? Didn't Tyson Fury serve a backdated ban during which he'd fought? Again, that was UCAD with a body involved there. DB Coupon says, I hate how people act like Conor Benn is a big UK star when pre his ban he never even won an area title. Carefully crafted career and only a main event once. Hearn hype job. I don't think being a big star is related to how many titles you've won. I think you're talking about two different things, respectfully. I think, was he a top-level elite boxer? No, of course not. Not at the stage he was at, although he had been fighting and comfortably beating fringe or former world-level operators. So I think that maybe takes him beyond domestic level anyway. But aside from that, he's a star because people tune in to watch him. I'm not saying he's a massive ticket seller in arenas necessarily, but according to Eddie Hearn and from the stuff we've seen independently as well, his figures in terms of TV viewing, social media figures and so on are very impressive. Certainly up there with fighters who've achieved a lot more. So he could be a star without being a top-level boxer. Zambanu Love says, looking likely Ben knew the 2 year backdated ban was going to happen, so drew out the legal process, fought abroad whilst keeping name in the media, increasing his notoriety. It's all gone as well as possible. Yeah, I mean, I think whether he thought he was going to be banned or not, trying to keep active outside the jurisdiction he was banned from fighting in isn't, it's a logical move, isn't it? The Keggy says, the fact that boxing has no world boxing governing body is a joke in itself. Yeah, I mean, we could be here all day talking about that, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. Ian Whitehead says, they will boil down Chris Eubank Jr. I can't see Conor, hands of foam, he's called him there, fighting at 160 and putting a dent in Jr. Ben is area level at best. DB Cooper 1 says he should fight the legendary Michael Benson of Twitter. I think there's two N's. Actually, three N's in Benson. Have you chaps met him? What's he like? British boxing legend. I haven't. Eamon, you've met him, haven't you?
Yeah, he was actually at the Frank Roy DAZN lunch. Got to bend the ear a little bit of Michael Benson as well too, and just talk about kind of how he operates and just how he's kind of got to his position within the boxing world. Yeah, he's an interesting character. He speaks really quietly as well. We're on a table, long table. We're at the end of it, and there's music in the background. Everyone's talking about all sorts, and Michael never varies his levels. He's most loudest when he's on Twitter.
And if someone asked him if he's ever met Eamon Khan, do you think he'll give you your due credit?
No, I don't know, because I said to him, I think, no, it wasn't me, but I've said this before, but I think Lewis Hart of Boxing Social asked him, like, how come you don't credit outlets when we're doing scrums? And he goes, I don't have the time to just pick you all out by listening to you and don't know all your names and stuff. So I just put it out because it's a scrum. And we sort of get that. It would be nice to get the credit for asking the question, but it's just about let Michael Benson off on that one.
Zambanu Love says this is a dangerous blueprint, easy for me to say, for other wealthy fighters to do the same. DB Cooper 1 says, yep, Conor Benn could set an awful legal precedent, hence why it's UK BBFC win. Ian Whitehead says, can we have Gabe Montoya back on the channel? I'd love to listen to his opinion on the new news. Very good idea, Ian. And I have thought about it. I just haven't reached out to Gabe yet, but I'll do so after we finish the live. Nat is responding to DB Cooper 1. This is Nat, who had no interest in Eubank Ben, by the way, and is still watching. Michael Benson, a British boxing legend. That's sarcasm, right? Or am I misunderstanding due to the fact I'm now American from Ohio? The Keggy, and your finisher is the skull-crushing finale, just so you know. The Keggy says Echo Esserman would be an unpedded Ben. We don't know. We don't know anything about any assistance Conor Benn had, intentional or otherwise. So let's steer clear of that area, please. Jack Dutton says, do you think a fight between Bam Rodriguez and Inoue at super bantamweight is possible? I mean, completely unrelated to anything we're talking about currently on the episode, Jack. But yes, I do think it's possible one day in the future. DB Cooper 1 is telling Nat that our Michael Benson is loved by Yanks these days too. Must not have reached your farm in Ohio, ma'am. It's quite good for DB Cooper. Mark's out of Zen, which is a superb handle, says, why would you not want to watch Jake Paul being knocked out? You feeling okay? Zabanu Love says, Benson beats Flexen to Frank's box next. God, there's too many X's in that sentence. Actually, there's only two. Yeah, I mean, he's probably already been in there, isn't he? He probably got in there via someone else and didn't give them their due credit. Craig Lee Monkman says, Conor is better than he's getting credit for. Algeria is an ex-world champ and a few more. Yeah, that's what I was saying. I think the kind of people he's picked off, albeit on the way down, would probably be considered to be beyond domestic level. DB Cooper 1 says, I think we can all agree Everything Boxing is the worst boxing Twitter account on Eddie Hearn's payroll. No evidence of that, by the way. I'm not sure Everything Boxing would ever sue us, but just in case. Zumbani Love says, all of Ben's best wins were fighters moving to 147, most debuting at that weight. Yeah, I mean, that's a fair comment too. I think we don't know how good Conor Benn is. He probably doesn't know, although he's confident, quite how good he is. And we'll never know until he's put in there with some real tests. So just for that reason alone, I would like to see him back in the ring. But yeah, so Conor Benn, Chris Eubank Jr., no kind of more development since last week on that. But as Eamon says, it does seem now like it's closer than ever. And I think I said on the special episode that we did, although Conor Benn has other options, and you talked about Boots Ennis there and Mario Barrios and so on, I'm not sure Chris Eubank Jr. has any other viable options that he would find attractive. You know, the likes of Hamza Shiraz seems to be like maximum risk, minimal reward. Janibek, I think Janibek would start a very heavy favourite against Eubank Jr. if he were to get a world title shot at 160. You know, who else is he going to fight? A third fight with Liam Smith? You know, I think Eubank's praying that Billy Joe Saunders comes back so he can have that rematch instead. But that comes back's been discussed for quite some time now and, you know, isn't exactly picking up pace at the moment. So what else is out there for Eubank Jr.? He's been inactive for a while as well. I'm not saying he needs to fight necessarily. I'm sure he's pretty well off. But this is the fight he wants. It'll be at 160 where, although he's not entirely comfortable, it'll be more comfortable than Conor Benn once they're actually in the ring with the on-the-night weights. And he'll fully expect to win that fight. And it's a huge money-making fight for him as well. So, yeah, I think Eubank Jr. needs this fight more than anyone else.